Welcome back to Catch Some Soulshine. I am your host, Dawn Renee Bova, and I am joined by Monica Browning, who I met with our mutual coach. And we are now going to be working in a collective group together to expand our visions and grow our businesses. And I'm so thrilled to have you here. She's a bright light, you can probably tell already. And we had a little bit of a back conversation about, where she came from, the changes that she's made, and her vision for the future. So if you want to share a little bit of that with our listeners, that would be awesome.
Great. Well, thank you so much for hosting me. This is really exciting. I love that we get a chance to chat and share our vision, our mutual vision, coming together from our Radical Freedom co-authored book that has really propelled our visions forward. And so a little bit about me is that I am a mom. I like to say mom is my first is my primary job. Mm-hmm. Among all the other jobs, right? Or careers. And so my background is in early childhood education. I've actually been, even when I was a child, I was babysitting children. I just have always been in tune with children. I love children. I've worked in the classroom as a preschool teacher for almost 20 years. And I left that world to be a full-time mom. I had the privilege of being a full-time mom at home. My former husband was active duty in the military. And at the time it just didn't make sense for me to go to work also when he was traveling a lot. And I was like, well, I'm going to put my kids in daycare, a preschool, while I'm taking care of other people's children also. So it all was serendipitous that I got to stay home for when I had my daughters. And then fast forward, several moves along the way, and then sort of an unexpected divorce happened, and those were the darkest times. Those are really, really dark. All I can imagine, grief and many unknowns were happening. And so I actually dabbled into real estate at the time, which is now another primary career. I've been in real estate, getting ready to celebrate 8 years in real estate. So I do love real estate, and it all is a combination of my new business that I'm birthing called Home and Harmony. And I really believe that home is where everything happens and starts. And a lot of people like to blame the teachers, but it's really starts at home. And having traveled and moved so many times, I am so passionate about real estate. And I'm also, because of the home, and then your children that are in the home. So my passion is really to help people with parenting, and as an intuitive parenting expert and the education behind parenting, and being in the classroom with all the experience with being with toddlers all day, and really ages and stages of all ages and stages. I now also teach a class at the college level called Parenting Across the Lifespan. So I'm building this new business of really being able to either be a coach, or I have webinars on my website, make mealtime meaningful, because I think, in this day and age, we've kind of gotten away from meals together, and technology has kind of been disruptive in our lives. As much as we love it, it can also do some damage too. So I am really excited to be able to take this next step in life to be able to be of service, really, and how I can serve and support families even more.
That's what I was thinking when you were talking about that. I started making sourdough bread from scratch. And the very first batch that I made, I didn't take the time to let it rise enough, or maybe I didn't knead it enough. I don't know, but it didn't turn out well. And it's a process. It was like a 2.5 day ordeal, because
right,
you've got to let it rise. And then work it again and let it rise. So disappointing that my sourdough bread flopped. And at that point I was like, that's it. I'm not doing this. You can go buy a loaf of sourdough bread at the grocery store and I don't have to spend 2.5 days trying to make it. But I'm not a quitter.
Yeah,
So
perseverance.
I decided I'm going to try it again. So the second batch of sourdough bread that I made turned out great. I loved it. I was like, oh, this is so good. And there was just that inner pride or feeling of satisfaction that I made this bread. And then I started thinking, and it doesn't have the inert objects in it that you do get in the store. Have you ever noticed? I don't know if you've ever made fresh bread, but with the fresh bread, you can't keep it very long and it starts to get
No,
moldy.
yeah. Yeah.
With store-bought bread, even if it's like from the deli or whatever, it'll stay for a long time before you get any mold on that
Yeah.
bread.
Long shelf life.
Yes. Why is that? So, what are we putting in our bodies? So, I just started letting my granddaughter help me with the bread, knead it a little bit and fold it over, and she loves it.
Yeah.
And those are the simple things that I am really, really going to enjoy with this extra amount of time that I have not going to a job.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
there is a trade-off when you leave corporate or you leave a high-paying job, but I think the beauty and the joy is really not in the money.
Absolutely. And you don't get those years or time back either.
Right.
So I always say that I'm grateful for preschools and all of the places that I've worked and been in the classroom for all those years, because I wouldn't have had a job if those people weren't going to work. But at the same time, and it gave me so many valuable lessons that I've been able to bridge the gap and bring into my own home and my own children. But it's just these precious moments that
Mm-hmm.
we're missing if we don't slow down and take the time to bread is a great analogy. And I actually have another I'm teaching another class called Embrace Picky Eaters, because it's kind of along the lines of baking bread. Like, I have a bunch of bananas and my kids were eating bananas, and then all of a sudden, like, they don't like bananas, and now all the bananas are rotten, and it's like, oh well, let's bake with them, and then you love bananas again. So it's like, expect the mess and then recover from the mess, and so baking is just a great analogy for everything. And we bake. It's very therapeutic, actually. So it's so much satisfaction in the baking and the bread making.
Yeah. Like decorating, you know how you score the bread and you get all these fancy designs. I'm like, it's a work of art. I love it. And I came home from work the other day. My daughter, who is staying with us now, who knows how long, she's from Asheville, and so she can't go home at this point. But I came home and she was with Brinley, and Brinley loves chicken nuggets. That's like a staple item for her. And she's like, yeah, I'm having some chicken nuggets Natalie made me. And I'm like, really? And I said, where'd you get the chicken nuggets? And Natalie said, oh, I made them from scratch and fried them up and cooked them in the air fryer. And I'm like,
oh, I love the air fryer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, just making those little small changes and having
For
the time to
sure.
do it, and maybe even teaching Brinley, to substitute unhealthy foods with healthy foods.
Oh my gosh, I have another. You have to look at I have to put my Instagram is at Monica Browning home.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have some really good reels on there at Monica Browning home. Because I said, I am not getting any more kitchen gadgets. Like, there's no more counter space for the stuff, right? Because I have the blender and the toaster and the microwave and then we have a special, because we make our popcorn from scratch, and then And then I broke down and I got an air fryer. And I am telling you, that is I have my oven. You can kind of see it in the corner there. My oven is my other
Yeah.
favorite item in the house, but the air fryer, it's because you said to take something healthy. You can make potato for French fries. The
Mm-hmm.
easiest way, just cut them up, spray some avocado oil on them, a little bit of salt, done. Perfect French fries. And
Yeah.
a half a, faster than it takes you to go to the store to get the processed kind. So it
Mm-hmm.
has really shortened our lifetime of traveling to get food where you can just make it in the air fryer from scratch for easy
Yeah.
and fast.
I have a lot of kitchen gadgets. I'm not going to lie. And I'm like you. I'm not buying another single kitchen gadget.
Yeah,
The rice maker, and
right.
I don't know. I do use the crock pot from time to time,
Oh, I do love my
but
crock pot.
yeah.
But that
But
goes under the cabinet, right?
but
It's
that can
not
be put
on.
away. Yeah. But all these
Air
countertop
fryer is
things, I'm
on the
like, I'm not
countertop.
buying anymore. But then I got the air fryer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
love my air fryer.
The best kale chips, like if you, I also have that in my thing too. If you want your kids to eat healthy, the kale chips, oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh, because I used to bake them crispy, but they would never get just right crispy. But the
Yeah.
air fryer crisper, oh my gosh, kale chips, super easy. Again,
Yeah.
they're a crowd pleaser.
Well, and when you talk about kids too, involving them in the things that we like to do that are healthy is
Absolutely.
great, because
Yeah.
then they're tactile, they're not on the social media, the TV, and they're learning skills,
Yeah.
valuable life skills.
Even
One of the
something as
things.
simple. Oh, go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it was the same thing because even if like last night was a perfect example. We had a frozen pizza. We're getting ready to travel, so I don't have a lot of groceries and I don't want to do a lot of cooking, but pop in a frozen pizza, but we also have a basil garden. So go picking fresh basil off of the garden and then chopping that up and putting it on a frozen pizza. It's like you're still, so I don't want people to have the idea that they have to do everything, like it doesn't have to always be so complicated. Like even combining frozen and fresh is
Mhm.
still a great way to do healthy and include the children and have them get something in that they like, and it totally transforms the meal too.
It
So
does. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I just wanted to add.
Yeah, I that's a great idea. We used to have one of those, well, we still have it. It's another kitchen gadget. Uh, the little garden thing with the light that you put on your counter where you can grow fresh herbs.
Oh
I
yeah.
I
Mm-hmm,
forget what
mm-hmm.
it's called. We have it. And we would grow basil and thyme and oregano and stuff like that. But just adding that little bit of fresh herb to your
Mm-hmm.
meal made such a difference. But I was also going to share, of course, I love art. So I started doing art with Brinley, and
Oh yes.
instead of giving her a gadget to keep her occupied when you're trying to get something done, I have a big art bucket, and I have markers in there, I have crayons, I have paint, I have paint pens, and I'll get the bucket out and put it on the kitchen table. And I have a plastic table cover that goes over top of
Perfect.
the tablecloth, and
Yes.
just turn her loose, and she'll
Yeah.
color for hours, draw,
That's,
paint, whatever. And
I
she
love it.
loves it. And it's so much better for the brain than sitting in front of a TV.
Oh,
Now, I do
absolutely.
use the TV sometimes, and
Hmm.
right now we're working on sight words. And she has a hard time with them, so I found this educational sight word program on YouTube, and they have 25 to 30-minute programs,
Hmm.
and she'll say, "Oh, can I watch Paw Patrol or I forget what she calls it." And I'll say, "Yes, you can, but first let's do your sight words." So I'll
Yeah.
just put that YouTube video on, and I hear her saying her sight words, and she's really learning those sight words.
Yeah.
And then after she's finished with that, we'll watch a little bit of her cartoon that she wants to watch.
Sure.
So It's
No,
like a
balance
bargaining.
is everything, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Negotiating, yeah, these are good negotiation skills. And then it's also, everything in balance. So it's not just a distraction where she's just watching the cartoon all day. She's engaged in art, and then she's doing some sight words, and then she's doing, maybe that's her relaxing time to watch her little downtime show, just like grown-ups have their downtime show. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's a beautiful blend.
I've seen a lot of things on social media and, reading different articles about how we have our kids so involved in activities, sports, learning things that the outdoorness, the outdoor activities, and the hands on and the tactile are kind of going by the wayside. So, what are some things that you suggest people do to bring that childhood back to the child?
Yeah, no, I was just reading another article about that as well. And yeah, it's the overscheduled child. It's
Yeah.
and I think part of it is that we feel like, grown-ups feel like they have to keep their kid busy, but at the same time, they are also taking away the opportunity to actually be bored, or to be creative on their own, and to have critical thinking for themselves, to be able to decide, like, what brings me joy. It's some even simple things as like having a basket of chalk outside, so the child can, and depending on the ages and stages, but
Yeah.
even my teenagers still like to play with chalk and draw and doodle with chalk. So I have a bucket of chalk right outside, and so when we go outside to water the plants, sometimes we'll get the chalk out. It's just having, or even bubbles. We forget how much wonder can come from just blowing bubbles, and having
Mhm.
simple things that, it's like, go back to the basics. And
Mhm.
the thing I think that parents maybe struggle with is, I don't know if it's feeling guilty that they think, oh, that we have to have them all signed up for things, or that they want to keep them busy because they are too busy doing their own things. And this is
Mhm.
something that I'm really passionate about, is reconnecting. We have to
Mhm.
reconnect. Like, humans are wired for connection, right? And so if we are constantly sending them off to go take a class, or go do this or to go do that, we're missing the opportunity to connect. So
Mhm.
even if, we just take 5 minutes to sit down on the floor and do chalk outside, or, like you said, you have the table of, the table set up with a bucket of art, and just have the opportunity to do something that's easily available. You have the opportunity to sit down, even if it's just for a few minutes. I have another reel. It just made me think of the analogy of my cat, because I'm here working at my desk, and the cat's like clawing at me, and I'm like pushing the cat away, and then the cat's clawing at me, and then finally I just like, okay, I'll pick up the cat,
Right.
give the cat, a few minutes of my attention, and all of a sudden the cat's done and goes off. Children are the same. If we can
Mhm.
just give them our attention, our undivided attention, and connect with them for even a few minutes, they will go be busy doing their own thing if we allow them that kind of opportunity. um, to have creative play. It's okay to be
Yeah.
bored, and it's okay to, to do nothing. That's
Right.
actually the permission slip, because we always
I
think we
thought
have to be
about
doing something.
engagement when you were talking about the child and, with cell phones, and I've been guilty of it myself. But as I sit back and observe interactions with my granddaughter now and adults, you know, we're on our cell phones and she's saying, "Grandpa, grandpa, grandpa." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah," and looking at the cell phone.
Yeah,
And, maybe just putting that technology away and
yeah,
having that total engagement with the child is so important. I was also thinking when we were younger, when I was younger, uh, it was the world was a little bit more carefree. And we would go outside and play for hours and with other kids. And
yeah, for sure.
my parents weren't standing over me. They
I
didn't
know,
have
we
to
joke
worry
about that.
about they didn't have
I
to
don't.
worry about some big black SUV driving by and snatching us up and throwing us in the SUV and never seeing us again. But it's a real concern today. So, there
Yeah.
is a balance.
Depends on where we live too. But no, I know. In fact, we weren't even allowed inside until dinner was ready.
Mhm.
Like even, unless we were helping cook dinner or doing chores, it was like you're outside playing. If you're done with your homework, you're outside playing, or you're, like we did our own laundry. That was something else. It's like we need to be able to teach children how to not do it for them. Like I think a lot of grown-ups in this day and age are in the do it for them phase, either if it's because it's quicker or easier, or we need to be able to empower them to be able to do these things either with you or teach them how to do it. But
Mhm.
yes, playing outside is kind of gone by the wayside. I mean,
Yeah. It's
and I have
sad.
another client that asked me about technology, and she said, well, how do I get my son off of, technology? And I said, well, let's look at our own habits, because if we're on our phone all the time, they're going to be on their whatever it is all the time, even if they're playing games or, I mean, most kids have phones nowadays anyway. But
Mhm.
yeah, they're doing monkey see, monkey do. I mean, if we're on our phones all the time, they're going to be on they're going to at least want to be on theirs all the time, or they're going to, right? Their behavior is going to ask for our attention.
Mhm.
So it is again a balance. We have a no phone rule in the kitchen, because the kitchen is kind of the heart of our family. And so, if we're in the kitchen, we're talking or we're making dinner or we're dance partying. And oftentimes music is a great catalyst that you don't have to have a lot of conversation. Like sometimes, people don't want to talk or it's too hard or whatever, but it's a great icebreaker, or it's a great just mood changer or a
Mhm.
transition changer if you add music. So even for the mornings, I'll go in and wake my girls up for school, but I'll also put on music. So before I go in their room, the music is on, so they know that it's time to get up. Then I go in and I'll tell them, our usual routines. That's another. I have some pillars in our book, but music is. Remember when you put, probably back in our day, we would put on
Mhm.
the record player.
Yeah.
We would have play music. Um,
Right.
so everybody has earphones in, listening to their own music. But if you share it in the household, it's a
Mhm.
great energy changes the
Yes.
energy. So those are
Absolutely.
other
Yeah.
ways to, if you're not outside playing because of the trucks. I mean, I know even on our street, people are whizzing by, and
Mhm.
it's
It's
so
it's
music is a
it's
great way
kinda
to get.
it's different, but what you're saying, but what I hear you saying is that we can think outside of the box. Yes, times have changed. You can't send your kids to I would never send Brinley to the park by herself
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
But when I was a kid, we went to the park by
yeah,
ourselves with our
yeah.
friends and played. So it has changed. But if you think outside of the box,
Hmm.
you can instill new habits that are equally as good, that don't involve technology and keeping them busy in front of a screen or whatever, and getting those creative juices flowing. Because really, when you talk about music and cooking and art, those are all creative practices that are
Absolutely.
helping their brain. They're
Yeah.
helping the brain rewire, which is what we want, growth and stability and nurturing. So, yeah, I love all of your ideas.
Thank you. And yes, and those are also all there, and there it's all a learning process also, right? And so you can't get it wrong. I mean, if you're baking, you're using science. If you're doing art, you're mixing colors and the chemistry. If you're playing music, right? Music is a language. So it's all educational also. So it doesn't have to
Mhm.
be so structured. And like you said, we can be out of the
Yeah,
box and
yeah,
bring the fun back. Like,
uh-huh,
right, let's bring some joy back
yeah.
into the lives. I
I
had
I also think, um, just being involved with her like I have, over the past few years has brought me back to my own self-realization of, oh, let's go to the quarry and take a nice long walk and be distracted by every single leaf and butterfly and crawly thing on the ground,
Right.
because you're just observing it all and you're in the moment. And to see the world through a child's eyes is so very therapeutic, but you have
Absolutely.
to allow yourself the time to slow down and just be in that moment.
Yes, for sure. Patience for yourself. Great compassion and grace and patience are also part of that, because we have to allow ourselves, like you said, the time to slow down without the guilt and shame of, oh, I need to be doing this or that. Right. So
Mhm,
it's okay to slow down and to enjoy those moments. And again, like you said, they are our greatest teachers,
mhm.
because they're still connected to the earth, right? We're
Yes,
all, we're all out there, have all of our to-do lists and a hurry here and hurry there. And, you know, yeah,
exactly what I was gonna bring up next is the fact that just by seeing the world through a child's eyes gives us permission to have a dance party in the kitchen, or I journal religiously. I write all the time, or just doodle in my art journal, or
hmm,
go down in the basement and paint instead of doing laundry or cleaning or doing this or getting this accomplished. It's okay to take time for you and to nurture your soul, because when your child sees you doing that, they're going to do the same thing.
it
Where
is.
can people reach you if they want to have some tips? And I know you mentioned social media, you have a lot of reels that share this information. Is that on Instagram?
It
And do you have a
is.
website? Share it
I
with our people.
do. Thank you. Yes. So it's very simple. Is Monica Browning Home. So it's my name with home, HOME. And that's my website. So www.monicabrowninghome. And then my Instagram is also just at Monica Browning Home. That's actually my email also. Monica Browning
Okay,
Home. Monica Browning Home at Gmail.
awesome.
So
So
yeah.
yeah, if somebody wants to just reach out and connect with Monica, you have all her information. And if you need a little extra help, I know when my son Bradley was growing up, he struggled a little bit with, and I paid a tutor all through elementary school for him so that he could have that extra help that he needed. And I don't regret any bit of money that I spent for that, to help him and I so that he could, thrive to the best of
Yeah,
his ability.
and I appreciate you saying that, because it's something that I think about, you know, in the like in the original hunter gatherer days, they lived, in a village, and they had community and they had support and they had help raising children. And now everybody's kind of like, it's all behind closed doors. And it seemed like with mental health, right? Nobody talks about those things. But and if we want to, if we want to, to build our body, we go to the gym and we have a trainer, and we hire a trainer. And if we want to build our business, we hire a mentor or a business coach. And
Mhm.
it's, if we need a specialty, we hire one. And in the arena of parenting, it's not yet mainstream or even talked about to hire an expert or an intuitive expert or someone beyond like sending your kids to school or specific therapy, but just to having um, an expert that's been in the classroom, that has a lot of experience. I think that it's really important to get the message out there that there are people, coaches, mentors that people can hire for help and not have to go at it alone. I don't think that, we're kind of, again, we're wired for connection, and sometimes we need to hire help for connection and to help get, reconnected and to
Right,
learn how the process is. So thank you for
right,
saying that.
right. Well, one more thing that I have to say
Of
is,
course.
um, for the things that I try and help people with are the things that I do. I'm
Yeah.
not just reading from a manual or using an instruction book. I'm walking the walk. And
Yeah.
I see that with you as well. You know,
Yeah.
you're not just, you have the education, you have the background, but you're doing the things.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a good coach, because you have used the tools and you're implementing them in your own life. And that's why you can share them with other people. So I just wanted to put that out there too.
Thank you. Yeah. And right now I have two teenage daughters. So I've been there. I've walked the walk, like you said, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that because I'm in it.
Yeah.
I'm in it with you, and like our
Yeah.
other coach, Garen Jones, who wrote the foreword of this book, he says you can't see the picture while you're in the frame. And
Yeah.
so it's a lot. Sometimes we need to reach out for help to get that
Mm-hmm.
because we can't see it while we're in it. But
Right.
we've been walking the walk. So I appreciate you
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that. Thank you. It
Mm-hmm.
means the world to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was really
Okay.
great talking to you.
Yeah.
And Monica and I are going to be meeting up in person here in a couple of weeks for a really incredible mastermind. So I can't wait for that.
Can't wait for
And
that.
yeah, and I'll talk to you again soon. All
Thank
right,
you for
guys.
bringing some sunshine to our
Yeah, go out
lives.
and catch some soul shine.